Hello and welcome to my channel and welcome back to my old room. It feels like it's been a while. In fact, it has only been a little bit more than a week, but I've been on a staycation, dog sitting, somewhere else, and it just feels very good to be home. And I'm very glad to be filming in my space again, where everything is nicely lit and controlled and just familiar. I hope you enjoyed this video. We are testing new makeup, which is mostly new to the market, but some of them are new to me. And they're all kindly gifted to me by my mom because we went to one of the towns nearby, the place where we were dog sitting, and we did a little bit of shopping. So the things in here are from NARS and from Huda Beauty, and also one from Glowish, which is of course Huda Beauty's sub-brand or sister brand. So yeah, I'm very excited to put all of these on my face. We're going to do a full face, supplement with some other things. It's going to be nice and casual. Subscribe if you like the video, and let's get started. I don't really have anything for the eyes. I do have some very interesting things for the face that I can't wait to try. For instance, I got the Cherry Blossom powder from Huda Beauty, which of course everyone keeps raving about, as well as the under eye corrector. So yeah, just a little spoiler, but let's do some eyeshadow first. I thought we could just use my most recent palette, which is in fact the Rick and Morty palette, if you're not sick of it already. We're just going to do a nice casual look. I was thinking that maybe I could do these three shades to match my top. I could also do a nice peacock moment, but it doesn't really match. So let's hop into it. I'm going to start with this fluffy brush. Yes, I still need to clean my brushes. I'll get around to it. I'm going to start with just a little bit of the deep purple along my lashes. Just something a little bit like this. It's not the best brush to do something like this, but oh well. I think I'm going to do it even simpler than I was thinking. I'm going to do a look very similar to the first look I ever did with this palette weeks ago. I'm going to take a little bit of this shimmer, just on my finger, and put it pretty much on the center of my face. My lids. These shades are so beautiful. I really want the focus of this video to be on the face, so I am truly keeping the eyeshadow quite simple. You know what? I'm really liking this pink. I think I'm going to skip the orange. So I'm going to take a little bit more of this pink, just cover the whole eyelid. And then with my pencil brush, I'm going into this shade, which is the pink iridescent shade. And I'm of course putting that on my inner corner, but I'm also taking it slightly on top of that other pink shade. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. You know, also putting a little bit over here. I saw a short of mine recently where I put all my makeup looks from the week together. And I did really like the way the highlight looked. You know, for a little pop of something different, I'm going to go into this silver with the same brush and put that underneath my eyes. You know, that's actually pretty fun. To bring out the cool tones of the lower lash line, I'm taking a light blue eyeliner. This one is from Kruidvat, because I feel like that silver truly has quite a blue undertone. Yes, that's exactly the right shade. I'm also putting on a little bit of mascara. This is the Lash Like a Boss from Essence. Just the black mascara. And I do feel like this look will benefit from a couple of small lashes. So let's see what I've got. I'm going to take these eyelashes from Kruidvat again. These are the natural 3D faux mink lashes. I haven't worn these since I've been cutting my lashes, so I'm just going to do that right now. See, these fit my eyes, but I want them to start a little bit later, so I'm just going to cut a little bit off. So I'm just letting those dry for a minute, hoping I'm not forgetting them like I sometimes do. All right, while my lashes are drying, let's show you what I got. So we went to the Bijenkorf, and at NARS we picked up the Laguna bronzing cream in the shade Laguna 1. I've been meaning to try this, and I just wasn't sure about the shade, and I don't know, I guess you can only get NARS at the Bijenkorf in the Netherlands, and I just never pulled the trigger on it. And then I also have one of their new blushes, which is the Afterglow Liquid Blush. I've been hearing very mixed things about these, so I thought I could give them a try, you know, try them on my hand. And initially the shade that I was most drawn to, the purple one, looked very blotchy, so I guess I didn't really felt the urge. But then my mom said, you know what, try them all on your hand. And there was one that really stuck out to me. It looked beautiful, it looked very subtle, but still pigmented enough. And since I am so fair, I feel like it doesn't matter that they're super duper pigmented, because I like that, because I can go overboard with my blush. And the formula looked beautiful. So this is it. I have it in the shade Behave. Then a couple of things from Huda Beauty. I picked up the Faux Filter Color Corrector in the lightest shade, Pink Pomelo. We always say pomelo, but I guess it's pomelo. This cutie. I've been really into using the Becca Under Eye Corrector just as a full-on concealer, but I find it a little bit creamy, and I find that it fades over time, so I wanted to try a different one. Also, the other one is almost out. From Glowish, this was heavily discounted. I got the Bright Light Sheer Concealer. I've also been hearing very mixed things about this one, but I still wanted to try it. I tried it in store and it looked beautiful. I thought it would be perfect for my very, very light makeup days that I have been having recently. I also finally picked up the Huda Beauty loose powder. I've been wanting to try this for so long because people say it's the best loose powder, and I really wanted to try one. And then, yeah, the chance got around to finally get the Cherry Blossom one. So I'm really excited about this one. And then to finish everything up, I really wanted a new brown lipstick. A nice creamy glowy one, so I picked up this one. You may remember, if you've been here for a while, that I had this lipstick, the cream one, in a very dark brown shade, which was called Gold Digger, which was beautiful, but now looking back at those pictures, it does look a little bit stark. So I wanted a little bit more subtle one, so I have this one in the shade Baby Face. So yeah, that's all the things we're going to put on my face. Let me first apply these lashes. See, I didn't forget. So that's the lashes applied. I do always like a look a little bit better with some lashes. So now what to do? I don't have a new foundation, and honestly I don't feel like I would need one, except, you know, with this concealer, I mean. It's a light look. But then add the color corrector and the loose powder and the bronzer, and I feel like it does need something of a base. So I'm going to see if I have a very light coverage foundation. I found something that I really want to try. I've been mixing these two, at least I had been for a little while, but then I stopped because I don't know, I guess I tried some other foundations that I wanted to wear, but now I'm going back to it. This is the NYX Born to Glow foundation in a deep shade, the shade Natural, which is, you can't really see it right now, but it's definitely too deep. And then this one from Fenty in the shade 1, the Eavesdrop, which is just a little bit too light and too cool toned. So I like mixing them. And especially now that I have a bit of a tan, this is really, really light for me. I know it doesn't really look like it, but I definitely tanned just a little bit. So I'm going to add some of this. This is about the amount that I did. You know, it might actually still be a little bit too deep. It looks kind of perfect on my hand, but it looks a little bit deep compared to my neck. I am never sure what happens whenever I mix something. I'm just going to bring it all the way down. I feel like whatever I mix always ends up a little bit deeper on my face. But I like the finish of this. It's actually a little bit more coverage than I bargained for, but it's fine. It'll look nice with the pretty matte bronzer and the color corrector and the powder. So now let's finally hop into some new products. I hope you've been waiting kind of patiently. I still like to do the whole face. So let's go into the color corrector. Like I said, this is in the shade Pink Pomelo. It's actually more of a peach tone, I feel like, but that should be really good for dark circles. So let's see. I'm really just putting it right there where I need it the most. You know what? Also a little bit over here. I have a bit of a sunken under eye, I realized. So it might be good to correct a little bit more. This formula is very different from the Becca one. If you remember that one, or if you have it still, it's very creamy, very emollient, and also very shiny, which is very pretty. But if you want to use it as an actual corrector underneath a different concealer, then it would be nice to have a slightly thinner matte formula like this one. So I'm just going to tap it out with my fingers. This actually does feel a little bit thinner than the Huda Beauty concealer as well. I have the regular, the faux filter concealer, and I love it. This one seems to be a bit more radiant and a bit thinner. And this one I can definitely not wear on its own. It's just a little bit too dark. And this is the lightest one. But it's nice. It's a good color for actual color correcting. So that's great. So now let's hop into the Glowish concealer. I bought this in the shade Fair. They do actually have an even lighter one online, but I don't think they had it in store, and this one looked kind of perfect for me. So this is supposed to be a really nice and glowy, well, they call it a sheer concealer. I'm sure it's more of a light coverage. It's the type of concealer that looks really natural, I assume, that you can pair with a color corrector. I'm also putting a little bit of this on my chin, on my nose, just to highlight. And I'm going to leave it on, just because it feels very liquidy and I want it to be a little bit thicker before I blend it out and lose all of the coverage. So let's do the cream bronzer in the meantime. Like I said, I have this in the shade Laguna 1. This cream bronzer, it's just something I always wanted to have. The packaging, of course, is beautiful, but the shade just seemed so good. It's like a little bit deeper than I am, and of course a little bit more bronzy, but it just has a really nice undertone, I think, for my skin tone. So I'm taking my Real Techniques contour brush, and I'm going to take some of this. I feel like it's going to be fairly pigmented. Oh yeah. Look at that beautiful color. This is even more perfect on my face than it was on the back of my hand. My mom was skeptical. She thought it would look too stark, but I knew that this was definitely lighter than most of my cream bronzers were. So I really wanted a cream bronzer again, because I've been using a lot of powder bronzers, but sometimes you just want everything to be a nice cream. By the way, this has a beautiful smell. I know not everyone loves it, but it smells so beachy. I know it's called Laguna, but it's like, it's not even like suntan lotion. It's a little bit fruity. It's truly a beautiful smell. I can appreciate a nice smell. I really hate bad smells, like I assume everyone does, but I'm quite sensitive to them. But a good smell doesn't really bother me. I feel like this product and I are going to become best friends. I don't even feel like I need to blend it out that much. And now that I have this very pale hair again, it just looks beautiful. And you know, these cream bronzer tubs are really a good value for your money. There's 19 grams in here, and I feel like a gram of cream bronzer lasts longer than a gram of powder bronzer. And they're usually around 10 or 12. So yeah, they're basically the same price, so I recommend it. So now let's blend out the under eye concealer. I have this weird triangle shaped brush from Primark. Oh wow, this is really nice and glowy. I feel like you could almost use this as a liquid highlighter if you get a lighter shade. But I love it on top of that color corrector. I do feel like the shades mingled a little bit. Maybe I should have let the color corrector dry for a little bit longer. But I think that's just unavoidable if you put two things on the same place on your face. This is the type of concealer I would usually wear with very little other things, also no powder, because look at that. That's really nice. I almost wish I didn't have to put powder on top, but I do have a very nice powder to try, so of course we're going to do that. But this looks really nice with that cream bronzer. I feel like I look very summery. Oh wait, we can't use the powder yet. We have to use the cream blush first. So like I said, this is from NARS. It's in the shade Behave. It's one of the newer products in this video. And this is the color of it. It's a beautiful pinky, mauvey, slightly peachy. It kind of looks like my shirt. I think it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to give it a try with my fingertips because it's a very liquidy formula. And I'm just afraid that all of the color will disappear if I use a brush. Yes, that's really nice. I'm sure a brush would be faster and I'll give that a try as well. This is beautiful because I often do that little bit on my nose, but then it looks very pigmented and stark against my light skin tone. But I do like the effect of it and I find it difficult to balance it, to use less. So I really wanted something with a more natural color that I could just apply even on very light makeup days, and wow, this is really pretty. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to apply a little bit more because we are doing a little bit more of a full coverage look today, and see whether it's buildable. So I'm applying quite a bit more. And I do think it's a little bit buildable. Not too much, but it also didn't disturb anything trying to add more. Of course, it's going to look stunning with the powder as well, but if you want, if you're not very prone to creasing, I would definitely recommend trying these products just like this without any powder. You wouldn't even need any highlighter because that blush is really glowy. And of course, once I'm going to set it, it's going to lose some of that glow. So in the future, I feel like, yes, I'll use the powder, of course, but not when I'm using this blush. I don't think so. So now let's get into what I believe is the most hyped product of this video, which is the Cherry Blossom powder from Huda Beauty. This is it. It has a little lid on it, which I'm definitely going to keep on because look at what's coming out. So I'm going to take a little bit on my finger to show you that this is actually a very white pink powder. Oh, it feels so silky soft. And I think it's going to work for me because some pink powders can be so pink that they're actually showing up as a blush on me. And by the way, I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to use the clean side. I have this little washcloth type of thing which has microfibers, which is supposed to be kind of like one of those triangle sponges that you use for powder. But I used this once and I was stunned by how dry my under eyes looked and I hated it. But then I heard from Patty Alonso that you just have to use the teensiest bit of it. The powder, I mean. Really rub it into your hand. And then it should be really nice. So we're going to give that a try. So I took a little bit. Now I'm rubbing it into my hand to spread it evenly. Oh wow. I feel like there's hardly any powder at all, but that did really smooth everything out. It still looks kind of luminous. It also still looks or feels a little bit wet. I'm really not sure if I'm putting on enough powder. I'm just sort of tapping most of my face now, but I do love it. You know, this is exactly the amount of setting that I would do. It doesn't feel dry, it just feels set. There's a little bit of moisture left, so I'm assuming you could use a lot more, but for today's look, I'm going to keep it like this, put on the lid again. You know, I put some on my hand to rub it in and into the washcloth, and my hand actually looks really smooth and feels very soft. So I imagine that this powder would also look really nice if you put on more. But I ended up putting it pretty much all over my face, except for right here. But all of the center of my face, even a little bit on top of that blush, and it looks really, really nice. All right, we're going very well. I have one product left, but I also need to do my eyebrows. I kind of forgot to get a refill of this one. I wanted to do it while I was in town. This is my favorite eyebrow gel, the Too Faced, what's it called again? Fluff and Hold Eyebrow Wax. But it doesn't hold that well anymore because it's almost empty. It's still my favorite. I really want to try the Rare Beauty one, and the Physicians Formula one seems to be really good as well. But I don't think those brands are very readily available here in the Netherlands. So I'll see. I'll probably get at least one more of this one before that happens. I wish I had a budget-friendly version of this, because I went through it pretty quickly. But I love doing my brows with this. It's a one and done for me, even though it's a clear brow gel. It just looks nice enough. I guess I have thick enough brows on my own, and I love the way this looks. I'm also taking a little bit more of that light pink shade and touching up the inner corner. And I also feel like I need just a little bit of a highlight. You know what? I'm going to use this one. This is from Sugar Drizzle. It's their Darlin Nikki's highlighter, my lighter I mean. And it's a pinky green duochrome. I'm just going to use it sparingly and it'll be beautiful. That's one thing I do really feel like you need when you set your face with powder. It's something to bring a little bit of glow back. And you know what? That concealer still looks pretty flawless. Hasn't creased at all. I assume it would always look best with a color corrector underneath, but I'll also keep trying it without. So now let's finish up the look with my lipstick. This is the Sweet Nudes Power Bullet Cream Glow, and this is a beautiful formula. Like I said, I almost finished up that Gold Digger shade. I still have a little bit of smushy bits left. By the way, this has a magnetic closure. And this is the shade, and it looks awfully, what's it called? It looks awfully matte, but once you put it on, it will not. Yeah, it's definitely the cream lipstick. So I'm just going to put out a little bit of it. And I'm not going to use any lip liner because that's just not the vibe I'm going for today. It's a little bit more of a cool toned brown, almost with a bit of a rosy undertone. And it's still deep enough that you wouldn't necessarily need a lip liner, but you also don't need a gloss because it's very glossy in and of itself. And if I do want a lip liner, I actually have one that would pair really nicely from Glamlight X Barbie in the sort of cool tone brown shade that's a little bit deeper than this. But I feel like this is flattering on me. This is a nice brown or pinky brown. Almost a little bit purple in there. It's very similar to Gold Digger. It's just a little bit lighter. I also really liked Raja, I think it's called, Raja. Which is a little bit more of a warm toned nude, which was paler, and my mom thought it didn't look very flattering, so I went for the slightly deeper one, and I love it. So with that, I finished the look. You clearly saw I loved all of these products. If I have to name a favorite, it might be the bronzer. I'm stunned. It looks so natural. The shade is so perfect for me. It still looks slightly more glowy than a powder bronzer would. I also really love the powder. I also really love the under eye products. I guess I also really love the lipstick. The one thing I haven't fully made up my mind about is the blush. I feel like I need to know if I can also put it on top of powders. So let's find that out together. Video is done now anyway, so I always like my blush to be a little bit high, and I feel like the highlighter pretty much covered it right now. And I want there to be a little bit more color. And a good blush you can also put on top of powder. I'm also going to use the brush, because that would also be my preferred method. That looks nice. I'm looking really closely, and I don't think it lifted up anything, not even the highlight. And I do like the fact that I have a little bit more color now. So yeah, also in love with the blush. I did truly select these products because I thought they were going to work for me, because I truly needed them, because they filled a hole in my collection, and I saw lots and lots of reviews before deciding that I wanted them. So I guess the chance of them all working was pretty high this time, but I'm still very glad. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you want to see more of me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.